Okay.
All right. First one up is what was your reaction when you heard Bristol was having a cup race on dirt?
I was ecstatic. I think that there's a place in our schedule. There's a place in the general fans' heart for dirt racing. I see that. I've always been a part of it in some form or fashion. Being a part of the Clausen, Marshall, Newman sprint car team and what Tyler Courtney's done, and their program there in USAC on the dirt side. I just know in my heart that it's going to be good for our sport. It's going to be good because it connects to the fans, and the fans in a different way. It's a change, and as much as we don't like change, I think it's a good change.
You started out on dirt, is that correct, in your career? And when was the last time you raced on
Yeah.
dirt?
Last I recall, when I started racing when I was 4.5, I started out on pavement,
Oh,
but I
okay.
did race some dirt. And then
Oh,
as I got older, I raced probably 60-40 pavement and dirt with that
oh.
split. And then when I won the Silver Crown Championship, I want to say it was probably close to 50-50 that year in 1999 off pavement and dirt. So I've got lots of experience on dirt, but not as much as some Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, and a few others. I've probably got more laps and more experience on dirt than I do. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to be dirt all night. It'll turn to pavement at some point.
Gotcha. How are you preparing for the dirt race? What are you doing to get ready?
Well, just announced that we're going to run the truck race. So getting more laps and having an opportunity to win on Saturday night is going to be important as well. We got to race our way in, so we've got some challenges ahead of us, and that's fine. I mean, we plan on beating them to race our way in, no different than beating them at the end of the race on Saturday night. But reality is just being in the right place at the right time and having we've got some opportunities to work on a race car and practice, which is new for us, right? For the last 12 months, let's say. That's going to be a part of it that we're going to have to learn and adapt to.
How important will the practice on Friday and the heat races on Saturday be for you guys, given the limited experience for most of the drivers?
Yeah, I think the how do you say it? I think the hidden agenda there is that most crew chiefs don't have to adapt to the racetrack as much as the racetrack's going to change. Now, that's not to say that when the track gets hotter, let's just say we go to Charlotte, the track gets hotter and it frees up or it tightens up, whatever you want to call it. It's not going to be like that when we go to the dirt tracks. It's going to be huge changes. So having a crew chief that knows how to adapt, I think, is probably key, but the driver is probably more key to be able to keep it out of the fence and keep the fenders on it so that you're not coming in and pitting for tire rubs and things like that because you bounced it off the wall or bounced it off of another car or truck for that matter. So the practices are going to be important to answer your question, but the track conditions are going to be more important in how they process the amount of cars and amount of laps at the racetrack.
With speeds expected to be a lot slower in the Cup stock cars on the dirt, do you expect even more contact among the teams than people usually see here at Bristol?
Yeah, I'd say in general, the slower you go, the easier it is to make contact and not have an adverse effect on yourself. It's no different than sliding up behind a car and just bumping into it when you're parking in a parking spot, right? I mean, everybody's done it on accident. The reality is you didn't crash your car, right? You just bumped the guy in front of you. You weren't going very fast. The faster you go, the harder it is to do that. So I would expect to be a little bit of that. I would expect to see some guys nudging and knocking and spinning around. Hopefully we're on the fast side of that. So if we're anything we're giving and not receiving, that's not the intention, but in the end, sometimes it's unavoidable. And to answer your question, yes, it's probably going to happen.
You mentioned racing in the trucks here. People still talk about the show you and a few other drivers put on at Eldora in the trucks in 2013. What do you remember about that race?
Yeah, I think we ran third. We had a good truck, race for Turner, and had a lot of fun. I think Austin Dillon won. We were a good long run truck. The track rubbered up. We didn't have a long run at the end to prove that we had. I think Austin slipped by us on one of the restarts, and he ended up winning the race and had a lot of fun. That's probably the main reason why I want to go back and do the truck race at Bristol, not just for laps, but because it can be a lot of fun.
Um, Do you think the guys, you mentioned some of them that have, a lot extensive dirt backgrounds, do you think they're going to have the advantage, or will the stock car be the equalizer?
Yeah, the guys that got the dirt advantage are going to have the dirt advantage, and it's still going to be dirt to start. It's going to transfer more into a pavement track the longer we run, and the more the weekend goes. And it all depends too on the weather. If we get some rain showers here or there, it changes a lot. And I don't know what the drainage is like with the way the racetrack is and the way it's built. So, we all could think we have a good idea going into it and be having to punt quite a few times.
You got one top 10 so far. How would you rate your season, start to the season so far?
Uh, the one top 10 is no doubt our highlight because it's such an improvement over where we were last year with that 550 aero package. But the reality is that's the only highlight that we have is Homestead for our organization. I feel like we had good cars at Daytona for the 500, but we didn't have the results to prove it. So mute point, right? But Vegas was a little bit of a struggle. Phoenix was a big struggle. And we've got a lot of, we can't count on necessarily going back to win a championship in the fall when we finished as poorly as we did with both cars at Phoenix. If we'd have had one good car and one bad car, I'd say we got the answer on how to fix it, but we didn't, and we got some work to do there.
Um, there's been quite a bit of parity this year. A few new faces in victory lane. Why do you think that is? And do you think there might be more than 16 winners in the regular season?
I don't think there'll be more than 16, but I do believe that the guys that have won were deserving of winning. They just didn't luck into it. And I say that even going back to McDowell at Daytona. He had a good car. He put himself in position, was in the right place at the right time, and made it happen. And he's put his time in. He's got a lot of experience. It's not just a new guy that just happened to be young and slop into one. And I think if you look at, even Bell for that matter, got a lot of experience, won a lot of Xfinity races. No surprise to me, but in a new situation, and sometimes those new situations just click.
And the last question: what has there been any chatter among the drivers, the Cup drivers, about dirt? Have you guys talked about it, text about it, or anything? Is there anything
Yeah,
going on?
it's a catch-22, right? Because you don't want to ask too many questions and show your hand. I mean, that's a key in racing is, we're not talking about what air we should put in the football so that we can make good spirals, because we don't want to throw good spirals. The answer is we want to go out there and have an advantage over those guys, whether it's a mechanical advantage or a mental advantage on how to approach the race. And there's a fine line of communication when it comes to that.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time, Ryan, and good luck in Atlanta. And we'll look forward to seeing you out here next weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.